So my name is Eugene Kress. I am a small solo practitioner attorney, almost all criminal law. I was in court today and saw a colleague of mine I hadn't seen in some time who has a brick and mortar office. He was a little dismayed. He goes, "I'm not happy with the area." He goes, "We're thinking about moving." And I said, "Where are you moving to?" He goes, "I don't know." And he asked me specifically, "What are you doing?" So I had an opportunity to sort of talk to him about this a little bit. And I said, "I'm in this virtual office now, virtual office by design." I told him over in Allison Point Boulevard. I go, "It's a great location, you're right off the freeway." Being right off the freeway, if you do want to stop in, get your mail, meet a client, do a deposition, you're right there. You can get on there. So we talked about it a little bit, and I told him there's receptionists that answer the phones very professionally. After hours, you will get voicemails that will go directly to your phone. Every message that comes in is directly texted to my phone. I see it immediately. I can sort through the calls that I need to make and the ones I don't need to make, which is important with what I do. One of the better aspects of it is it's a really nice building, and if I have to do a deposition or have someone in my office, it's probably a nicer office than I used to be in beforehand. Upkeep is very nice, the furniture is very nice, it's very professional. People are always welcomed into the deposition or the meeting, offered water, coffee, that sort of thing, just like you would get in a brick and mortar office, without the overhead, because it's sort of shared. I use basically, I think, everything they provide. I have used their meeting rooms for depositions. I have used their single offices for private meetings. I use the receptionist call answering. That's the best aspect of it. I don't miss any phone calls. They answer I've had to call in. They answer the phone very professionally. You would not know that you were not calling directly into a law office if you called me. The greatest benefit for me is I am almost always in a courtroom. Now I can always be in a courtroom without any fear, for example, of missing a call or missing a package, or especially a call from a judge or another attorney that I need to speak with. The receptionists at Virtual Office by Design know to exclamation point those messages, and they'll sometimes even call me directly, not just send me a text. If I see my phone buzz and I see VOBD, I know I got to pick it up. So it's just really helped me manage time more than anything. The other benefit is, I get a lot of feedback when I do depositions or when I do meet a client, and they're always impressed by the building. That's one of the, these buildings are right off the freeway. People see them all the time, but they don't often go back there. And when they do, they are like, "Hey, this is one of those buildings I always see from the freeway." And I recognize it. There's some meaning to it there. So I think that's really been a benefit to me. I think it's, to a certain extent, I won't say it's raised my profile, but it hasn't hurt it for people to drive up Allison Point Boulevard and see where my office is. About the only way I can, as a sole practitioner, give myself a raise is to cut costs. And when I was in a brick and mortar office, there were two aspects of it that cost me money. Number one was the overhead was so much higher than it is now. That alone gave me what amounted to a significant amount of personal income, going from a brick and mortar office with employees to a virtual office where everything's encompassed into one package and one price every month. There's no worries about a hidden cost. I know what I'm going to pay every month for my office space. The other thing is time management. When I was in a brick and mortar office, I spent a lot of time waiting on people, sitting in my office doing nothing because there was a phone call I had to expect or something I had to do after hours that I wasn't going to be able to take care of. And so I kind of count that into giving myself a raise, because now that time that was spent twiddling my thumbs on an afternoon when I didn't have to be in court, I can either go home, I can go to the golf course, I can make phone calls, I can go down to the offices at Virtual Office by Design and meet a client there. There's other ways I can utilize my time, and so the true benefit for me is, in a way, is increase my income and increase the amount of free time I have. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think about who would benefit from a virtual office or virtual office by design is lawyers. It's because of what I do. It fits perfectly with what I do for a living as an attorney. Everything fall into place. I think any type of small practitioner professional like an accountant, financial planner, these types of jobs where you have to really decide if you need to have brick and mortar, if you need to have a receptionist, if you need to have the overhead, you can eliminate it. And then I think about other small business types, a small business contractor, a construction worker who's going to be building a home and on a job site all day. Who's he going to have that will accept his mail, will answer his phone calls when he's pounding nails, who will accept secure packages and things like contracts and keep them safe, and also get him messages throughout the day that might make him money. A landscaper, very similar, something like that. We see these guys, cutting trees down. All these types of jobs, I think, it's very suited for a small business where you are not going to be in one location all day, but you need to have someone there to help you take care of your business. And if you're not going to be behind a desk all day, it has the benefit of that too, because you can be behind a desk all day, but you can be behind a desk somewhere besides your office and still get your mail and your packages and your phone calls. And I think if these small businesses, I know it worked for me, if you look at where you're spending your money every month, if you really dial it in, I think you'll find out you're spending more money. They will find out they're spending more money monthly than they would by having a virtual office with receptionists, with mail, with security, with a brick and mortar building. Because when you're in some of these types of business, you don't realize how much money you're spending having to contract that work or stop doing what you're doing or find someone else to do what you're doing to take care of the business that the virtual office takes care of. COVID changed my business model significantly. When it first hit, March-ish, I can't really remember the date, the courts where I work primarily just shut down. The business just shut down. The virtual office was very helpful because I did not have to go anywhere to get my messages, to know if there was something important I needed to deal with, and still had a communication line with my clients that I would not have had if I had to go to an office or if I had to tell a receptionist or a paralegal, you need to take the next 3 months off. They found a way to work kind of, I think, a hybrid virtual from home, set up the phone system so some receptionists, some people could work from home, some would come into the office to check the mail multiple times a week. And there may have been a blip on the screen where everything had to change over, but it was done quickly, it was done professionally, and I don't think anyone that I deal with from a professional aspect noticed any change in the service. I was really happy about that. Now the courts are doing, some are doing virtual hearings still, some are doing in-person hearings. I've actually been in a courtroom where I had to go into court on one floor and then go out to a room and open up a computer to do a virtual hearing in a court that's on another floor. So it's been a very odd time. But this is something I really hadn't thought about because it's the kind of thing that you don't think about. It's because it's always ongoing. But virtual office by design, their employees, the people who work for me because they work for them, have been there through the whole thing and really made it really easy for me to work. Some days I would have court hearings and have to work and get these messages and other things I do, and I'd be doing court hearings from a room in my home. Again, it extracted from me the concern, the fear, the worry about I'm not in my office. And I didn't have to worry about losing money on those types of expenses through COVID. And it's going to be ongoing. These courts are not back to full speed yet. So I think this is another reason I'm talking to some people that are becoming very concerned about their overhead. And it really hit hard in the legal community those first few months because people were not you make a list of what you're going to spend your money on, and it doesn't go lawyer food, it goes food lawyer. So, everyone got hit real hard, and we made it through. And I'll tell you, I made it through with the help of Virtual Office and their employees, and just everyone working together. When you walk through the front doors of Virtual Office, you're greeted by a receptionist. You can see who's working there. You can see there's other people with office space there. There's people working. It was completely different than any experience I had had previously. And I've used this word before, there was just a substance to it that you could not deny. It's nothing I can put my finger on. I can't tell you what it is or why, but it was clearly evident. It just, again, walking through the front door, meeting the owner, meeting the people who were taking the phone calls, seeing that there was consistency, seeing that there was reliability, asking how long have you been here, and hearing that some of these receptionists had been there for years. And so, credibility, it all boiled down to it. It was easy to see. They take the time to learn your business as they assist you doing your business. They understand which phone calls come in after a period of time when you say that's important. They recognize it. This piece of mail is important. If this person calls, I don't need to hear from them right now. And they develop an understanding of what your business is and what you do. And so immediately if something important happens, they know to contact me. Immediately if an important letter comes in, they know to get a hold of me. They also know when to leave me alone. It goes back to, it's a virtual office, but they are my employees in a way. And they partner with me by learning my business. And I know I'm not the only one. I'm sure they do this for every business that comes in the door, or else they wouldn't do it for mine. I've developed a relationship with all of these folks who work there over the years, so I consider them friends, and I consider them, it's hard to call them employees because I don't sign their paycheck, but I consider them definite parts of my business. Each individual person that works there is part of the law office of Eugene Kress. And I appreciate that what they've done over the years is learn what my business is and what's important to me, like an employee would. And I think they, they don't call me boss, but I'm sure they know that that in a way they work for me, but in a more important way, they more are partners in my business. I think that anyone who has a brick and mortar type facility, who has a building with their name on it in any way, shape, or form, who has these overhead expenses, I think any business, small business is probably very appropriate, but I think even some medium to larger businesses that don't have their employees all in one place all the time, where people are jumping around like job sites to job sites, that type of thing. I think it's just so beneficial. It's such a time saver. It's such a money saver. I don't think people realize how much time they spend. How can I put this? When you're in an office, I don't think people understand how much time they spend doing nothing because they feel like they have to be tied to that office. And when you're not tied to it anymore and you're still getting the same benefit, you have more free time, you have more money saved, and you can use that time and money to do anything you want. Grow your business, work harder, take time off, play golf, spend time with your family, do whatever you want. I think everyone should at least give it a try.